We now need to deal more with some other noun forms, and in particular the third declension noun forms. If you'll look at page 2-5, at the bottom paradigm, you'll see a general display of the various endings in the third declension. Notice that the masculine and the feminine have the same forms, and the neuter has some that are slightly different, except that in the genitive and dative, they're all the same. Now, turn to page 2-10, section 2, and let's just take a quick survey of the various kinds of third declension nouns that we will be dealing with. We have what are called labial stem. By the way, when I say stem, what I mean is if you go to the genitive form of the noun and take the genitive ending away, which in this case is the omicron sigma, what you are left with is the stem of the noun. Let me repeat that again. The way you find the stem of a noun, pronoun, or adjective is to go to the singular genitive form, remove the singular genitive ending, and what you're left with is the stem of the noun, pronoun, or adjective. And as things become a bit more complex, you'll see why that's important. Okay, so we have labial stem nouns. That means the stem ends in a labial. There are not too many of those. We're not going to deal very much with those in this course. Then there are dental stem nouns. That means that the stem will be ending in one of the dental consonants, like delta, for example. Turn the page to 2-11, and you'll see another dental stem noun, the word for grace, charis, where the stem ends in a tau. You'll see a fourth example, a dental stem, the word for name, onama, and the stem is ending in a tau. Another dental stem on page 2-12, the word for light, phos. Number 6 is a velar stem, where the stem ends in one of our velar consonants, such as a kappa. Here's the word for flesh, sarx. Turn the page to 2-13. We see another velar stem, the word for woman or wife, the word gune. And then in number 8, we see a liquid stem. There are 3 liquid consonants in Greek: lambda, nu, and rho. And when a stem ends in one of those consonants, a lambda, a nu, or a rho, we would say that that noun has a liquid stem. So here is an example of a liquid stem, the word for father, pater. Turn the page to 2-14. We see number 9, another liquid stem example, the word for mother, mater. Number 10, another example of a liquid stem, the word for man or husband, aner. On page 2-15, we see a sigma stem. Well, by now you could reason that that means the stem will be ending in a sigma. And our example word here is the word ethnos, meaning nation or people. We get the English word ethnic or ethnicity. Then there are other stems as well, some vowel stems that are not consonant stems. And we have an iota stem, third declension noun, the word dunamis, which means power or strength. We have an upsilon stem, the word for fish, ichthus. This is the sign you see on the back of a lot of cars, right, with the fish symbol, ichthus, standing for a certain Christian expression, Jesus Christ, the Son of God. Number 3 is an epsilon upsilon stem, the word basileus, the word for king. Now, if you'll look on page 2-20, you'll see a paradigm of the word tis, tis, ti. Tis, tis, ti is a word that, if it has an accent, is the interrogative relative pronoun that means who, which, what, or why. Or if you see this word tis, tis, ti in text and there is no accent, then it is the indefinite pronoun meaning anyone or anything or someone or something. This is a very important paradigm to memorize, because by so doing it will help you to memorize the basic endings in the third declension. If you'll look at this form that I've done in a little larger type, it will help us to see the various endings and how this word works. The first thing you want to do, especially in the third declension, is to look at the genitive form. Why? Because you will be able to find the stem of the word if you go to the genitive. So if we went to the genitive form of this word, which is tinos, and if we remove that singular genitive ending, then what we are left with is the stem tin. Now one might ask, then how do you get the ending, the nominative ending tis? Well, let me write down the genitive here, tinos. And if I take off that singular genitive ending, what I'm left with is the stem tin. Now, to create the nominative form in the third declension, the ending will either be a sigma or nothing. So the singular nominative form in the third declension will either be sigma or nothing. If you see a sigma at the end of a word, then that's what the ending is. If you don't see a sigma at the end of the word, then the singular nominative ending is nothing. Well, we do see a sigma on the end of this word. All right, now something is going to happen here. This nu is called a dental consonant. And dental consonants, when they are followed by sigma, elide. Dentals followed by sigma, elide. They fall away. You lose your teeth. Dentals followed by sigma go bye-bye. You lose your teeth. Dentals followed by sigma, elide. So what will happen is that this dental nu will elide, leaving us with the nominative form tis. And that's what's happened there. Now let's look at the singular dative. Here is our stem, tin. And in the third declension, the singular dative ending is aniota. In the accusative, here is our stem, tin. And the singular accusative is the ending alpha. By the way, go back up to the genitive for just a moment. Look how the genitive ending in the third declension, an omicron sigma, looks like the singular nominative ending in the second declension, like the word logos, right? Well, you don't want to get that confused. Second declension, yes, logos. The singular nominative is the omicron sigma. But in the third declension, the omicron sigma is the singular genitive. So watch out for that. Now let's look at the plural. In the plural, our stem is tin, and the plural is formed a lot like it is in English, an es, epsilon sigma. So we have tinus. In the plural genitive, the ending is just like it is in the first and second declension, an omega nu. So we have the word tinon. In the plural dative, this is the one that's a little tricky. The plural dative ending is a sigma iota and a movable nu, and usually the movable nu is there. So let's see what happened. What has happened with this form? If our stem is teen, and if we add the plural dative ending, sigma, iota, movable nu, what's going to happen to this dental nu when it's followed by sigma? Dentals followed by sigma, elide, right? So the dental will disappear, and we wind up with the form T-scene. Look at the plural accusative. This is easy because the plural accusative simply adds an S to the singular accusative, just like we would do in English. So we have the word tinas. Let's go back now and pronounce these words. Tis, and the sigma is your singular nominative ending. Tinos, the omicron sigma is the singular genitive ending. And this is a little word, teeny. Just joking. The iota on the end is your singular dative ending. And the singular accusative is Ike and Tina. And the alpha on the end is your singular accusative ending. In the plural, we have Tinas, and epsilon sigma on the end. Tinas. Tinas, anybody? The plural genitive is tenon. Tenon. The plural dative, T-scene. And the plural accusative, tinas. All right, let's take a look at some other examples of some third declension words. Here is a feminine example. This is the word for hope, the word elpis. Now, how do we find the stem of a noun or a pronoun or an adjective? We go to the singular genitive first, and we remove the singular genitive ending, and what we're left with is the stem. So if our singular genitive form is elpidos, and we remove the omicron sigma ending, then our stem is elpide. Let's write that down. We take our genitive, elpidos, and if we remove that singular genitive ending, our stem is elpide. And notice that this stem is ending in a dental. Well, if I take that stem and I add to it the singular nominative, now in the third declension, the singular nominative is either what? A sigma or nothing. In this case, it's a sigma for the singular nominative. Now what will happen to this form here? Look, we have a dental followed by sigma. Dentals followed by sigma, elide. So what will happen to that delta? It will elide, and we wind up with the nominative form elpis. The genitive, elpidos. The dative, look at the iota on the end. The dative is elpidi. By the way, that's the very same ending that we had in the first and second declension. You know, in the second declension, the singular dative, for example, the word logo, and you have the iota underneath the omega called an iota subscript. Well, in the first and second declensions, this iota had developed quite an inferiority complex and had moved to the basement. But by the time the third declension comes along, this iota has gone through extensive psychological and pastoral counseling and has really come back up online now. And so in the third declension, we now see it up online, elpidi. Now the accusative, elpida, where the alpha on the end is your singular accusative ending. In the plural, we have the word elpides, and you see the es, epsilon, sigma, much like in English for the plural nominative. The plural genitive, just as it is in the first and second declensions and omega nu, elpidon. The plural dative, elpisi. Okay, now what has happened there? If our stem is elpide, and we add the plural dative, sigma iota movable nu, what happens to the dental delta followed by sigma? Dentals elide followed by sigma. So we wind up with the form elpicine. The plural accusative is elpidas, simply adding a sigma to the singular accusative. All right, let's take a look at another example. This time a neuter example. The word for spirit. When we say Holy Spirit, this is the word for spirit. Pneuma. And remember, there are no silent letters in Greek, that all of the letters are pronounced. So rather than saying pneuma, as we would say in English, we say pneuma, pneuma. Now, where do we find the stem for a noun or a pronoun or an adjective? We go to the singular genitive. We take the singular genitive off and we remove it. And what we're left with is the stem. So this stem is the stem pneumat, ending in a tau. Our stem would be pneumat. Now, in the third declension, your singular nominative ending is either a sigma or it's nothing. Well, do you see a sigma on the end of this nominative form pneuma? I sure hope not. And if we don't add a sigma to this stem right here, something is going to happen. In Greek, there are only certain letters which can stand at the end of a word. You don't need to learn which ones they are, but this is one of the ones that you do need to learn, is that tau cannot stand it at the end of a word. Tau can't stand it at the end of a word. So tau will elide at the end of a word. So we're left with the form pneuma. Now we know that in the neuter, the nominative and accusative are always the same. And how do we know whether or not we're dealing with the nominative, a subject, or whether we're dealing with the accusative, a direct object? You know by now, don't you? Context. Okay, the genitive is pneumatos. There is that omicron sigma genitive. The dative, the iota on the end, pneumati, pneumati. The plural ending is the very same ending as in the second declension for the neuter, an alpha. So the word would be pneumata, pneumata. The plural genitive, there is the same plural genitive ending as in the first two declensions. Pneumaton, pneumaton. The plural dative, pneumacene. Well, what has happened here? If our stem is pneumat, and we add our plural dative ending, a sigma iota movable nu, what's going to happen to that tau followed by sigma? What happens to a dental when it's followed by sigma? Right, you lose your teeth. The dentals elide followed by sigma. So we wind up with the form pneumacene. And the accusative is just like the nominative, right? In the neuter, the nominative and accusative are always identical, so we have the word pneumati. Let's look at another example, another neuter example. This time the word for light, which is the word phos. Look at the genitive, photos. Now, of course, you know what English words we get from that. Anything to do with light. Photos, photograph. What would photograph be? If graph or grapho means to write, and phos or photo has to do with light, then what's a photograph? It's an image written on a piece of film with light. So what is the stem of this word phos? We'll go to the singular genitive, remove the ending omicron sigma, and you're left with the stem phot. Now, if we take that stem phot and in the third declension for the singular nominative, the ending is either a sigma or it's nothing. What would happen if we added a sigma for the singular nominative? Well, the dental tau followed by sigma will do what? It elides, right. So you're left with the word phos. The singular dative would be photi with an iota on the end. And the accusative, since this is neuter, is just like the nominative, the word phos. In the plural, an alpha on the end is the plural phota, and of course the accusative is the same word, phota, phota. The plural genitive would be photon, and the plural dative would be phosine. Again, the tau will elide, followed by that sigma. Some of my pronunciations may be a little off since I'm trying to emphasize the ending. Actually, if I were to pronounce these properly, I would put the accent where it belongs. Phos, photos, photi, phos, phota, photon, phosine, phota. So forgive me if it seems that my pronunciation is a little wrong in that I am simply trying to emphasize the endings. Let's look at another example of the third declension, a masculine example. This time the word for father, pater. This is certainly a universal word for father in so many languages. Even our English word father comes from this word. The Latin is pater. The English father, the P comes across as an F in Germanic, and there is our A, and the T, fa, and the T is softened to a TH, and then we have our ER. There's the word father. So it comes right from the Greek and the Latin. All right, where do we go to get our stem? We go to the singular genitive, and we see that we take patros, and we remove the singular genitive ending, and what we're left with is the stem patr. It's a little difficult to say, isn't it? Look at the singular dative. The singular dative takes the stem patr, P, alpha, tau, rho, and simply adds an iota to it, so you have patri, patri. But now look at the nominative. What the nominative does is to take the stem and to insert an E, in this case a long E, for pronunciation. It would be too difficult to say the word patr or patres. So an E is inserted there. It's called an epenthetic E. It helps us to pronounce the word pater. Look at the singular accusative. The singular accusative has done the same thing. It has also added an E there for pronunciation. So we have the word patera, patera, with the alpha as your singular accusative ending. Notice how that E is also added in some of the other forms as well. In the plural nominative, we have pateres, pateres. In the plural genitive, pateron, pateron. In the plural dative, we go back to the original stem without an E added, patre. And then we have our ending sigma iota with a movable nu and an alpha added here for pronunciation. Patrasin, patrasin. And then the plural accusative, pateras. You'll notice then that there are some little irregularities in some of these words, and wherever these words are high frequency, very commonly occurring words, it really would behoove you to learn as much of the paradigm as possible. Well, what I want you to do is exercise 4 in your grammar, which will take you through the various forms of tis, tis, ti, and also the forms of an adjective, pas, pasa, pan. It means all or every. And then exercise 4a and 4b, which will take you through various forms of third declension nouns for you to parse.